The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary Related Entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and their staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Base Yard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we're going to share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to start off the show talking with a couple of ladies from Women Helping Women. Oh my goodness, there's so much to do.
Yeah. Always.
And I'm going to turn it over to the Executive Director, Sonoy Ka'ahui.
Yes, you got it. How many shows have I done? And the name. I'm so proud of you. So proud.
I just slid right through that, didn't I?
You did.
And I'm going to call you Sonoy the rest of the show, though.
Thank you. Most people do.
Very good. Now, what's it been? How long have you been in that hot seat?
Ooh, this month is actually a year.
Is it?
I've been there a year.
I was thinking that we were close to that mark.
Yeah. So, yay, happy birthday.
And you're still smiling.
Yes, the smile is still there. And, it's been an interesting year.
Well, the challenges that you guys face on a daily basis, I mean, I have no concept of how you do what you do. I really don't. Even though we share a building, we share a hallway, we share a front door.
And a bathroom.
And bathrooms, yeah. It's like, but it's just, I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, does anybody ever come in and just have something good to say?
Oh, absolutely. I think we get quite a bit of people coming in. We just had a visit from a representative for Senator Hirono. So she came in yesterday and talked with us a little bit, but they were just really happy with the type of work that we're doing, and they wanted to know more about our programs.
Wow. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, very good.
Does that mean there's some money on its way?
I hope so.
That would be nice.
We talked a lot about federal funds. So, I didn't, but, my admin services manager, bless his heart, he can talk for days, and he does. If you let him, he will go off on a tangent. But, he was able to share. He's so knowledgeable. He's been with the agency forever. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. So the word has gotten to the folks in Washington that
Absolutely.
You're on top of it.
Yes, we make ourselves known on this little island.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
We do. And before the show started, I said I just excuse me, had this thought that from the numbers of people that and I'm not out by the front door very much myself, but when I hear we had 10 people who came in our door by accident looking for Women Helping Women yesterday, I'm going 10? Yeah. Wow. It sounds like the numbers are increasing. Are we into that time of year or something?
We are. We're just right on that cusp. And, I think with the 2 storm systems that came through, a lot of people were seeking more services. In particular, they were looking for shelter. And so, we helped them through that process, but our numbers have been extremely high. Not the highest, but, we've definitely serviced a lot of people and got them everything that they needed.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I just, like I say, I can't begin to understand all the things that you provide to your clients. Mm-hmm. And some people, it's a one-time request.
That's right.
And for others, it's a more long-term workout kind of a program to get them back on their feet.
Yeah. So even, so we have some clients that are going back to school, and we have this program is called WISP that we participate in as well. And so they come in and we can help them with books, some tuition assistance, those kinds of things. So it helps offset that cost for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
WISP.
WISP. Yeah. Don't ask me what that acronym means. We just live in acronyms, and I think all the nonprofits know that.
Right.
Yes.
But it's
smarter people
about
than
tuition and money for school.
It is. It is. It is. Definitely.
Okay. Now, what kind of qualifications do we look for when somebody comes in like that?
Well, they have to have been, well, they need to be a survivor of domestic violence,
Okay.
of course. But they have to meet it's more so income based, and I'm not sure what poverty level we go off of, but it's a pretty high level.
Okay.
And it fits most of our people that come in. So if they're on EBT, TANF, those kinds of things, more than likely they would qualify.
I see.
Yeah.
So we can help them either start or finish their educations and be able to move on up the ladder or get the first job maybe.
Absolutely.
Because do we find, and this is totally off the wall because I just thought of it, are victims of domestic violence normally employed spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends, or are they stay-at-home types?
We see a lot of both, but I would say kind of the influx right now is that they're not working, or they're just working part-time, which we all know that doesn't even cover your basic utilities or anything like that, depending on where you work, you know.
And imagine like leaving a relationship where there's domestic violence and kind of being on your own. You know, you have to rebuild yourself and get more independent, and that's what basically we help to provide, that service to kind of help them get back on their feet.
So to help them make and start that transition, because I would think that's one of the main reasons people stay together,
Right.
or stay in a situation like that, because they just simply can't afford not to.
Yeah, it's easier for them to kind of, they've been living this life where this person is their main supporter, and they're home with the kids, or and then they get just kind of left in that kind of remote isolation, and they just have to kind of figure out how to branch out, and if they have to apply for food stamps, or if they have to go apply for these different services, we can kind of help direct them where they need to go.
And now if we're talking about somebody who's in a situation like that who has kids, we're talking about they've got to think of those children as well as themselves.
Right.
Yeah. So this is a major step.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have to think, there's court, there's custody, there's divorce, there's all these other things that they have to worry and fear about.
Oh man, it's very involved, isn't it?
It can be, and it is. I mean, it definitely is. Talk about, we were talking about Maui Electric. I mean, talk about people that work overtime. We put in a lot of extra hours that aren't necessarily paid, and, we're happy to do that because we want these women to be successful, these families to be successful, and sustained for a long period of time. And you're not no stranger to working extra hours.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think your car and my car are the two that are in the parking lot the most.
Absolutely. It's kind of a race to see who's going to leave last.
Even on storm days.
Even on storm days. I was here
the
storm day.
Yeah, right.
All day. And then the following day when I was like, well, it looks kind of sunny. Maybe I'll just go do some work. The office is quiet, so I'll just do work.
It's a great time to get things done.
Absolutely.
For sure, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, people, did anybody, well, they couldn't come to the door because the front door downstairs was locked. But you'd get phone calls.
Yeah.
Is that when the hotline lights up?
Yeah, I mean, the hotline goes off all the time. So, with our 24-hour staff, someone is always there to answer that. But yeah, they've been seeing just this influx of calls coming in, and this is not unusual for this time of year, gearing up towards the holidays, which is when we're usually at our peak residency. Right. So, yeah.
Oh, that doesn't sound possible, the holidays.
Yeah.
What are we, 2 months of...
I thought it was January 2018. when did it become September?
I know.
And we were looking at some stuff this morning, and I said, wait a minute, that's not due until October. We don't have to get that done right now. And they go, Susie, do you know what today is? I go, no, I guess I don't. But like tomorrow's the 20th, and that's kind of like okay.
Yeah.
It's time to leap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boy, I don't know where the year went.
we've all been busy. We've just been making sure that our programs are running smoothly as much as we can, and just kind of beefing it up. And that's where our concentration has been, and doing more outreach, doing more trainings, and just engaging the public more.
Wow, it's just, I really am in awe of what your staff does. Because I just, I mean, it's day after day. And you think you've seen it all or heard it all, and I'm sure all of a sudden there's a new twist to it, or something in some way that you have to discuss with them to get them more positive about the future. Because by the time they come to you, they've had it.
Right. They're usually at that point where they've turned to other people and they just have no other resource. Or for some people, we are their first stop. But a lot of times we're like sort of 4 or 5
Yeah.
in their
You're
page
the last
of
resort.
5 to 6. Yeah, so we're at the bottom sometimes. But in terms of walking in, if they call the hotline, sometimes that's the first step for them. And so they have that conversation with the advocate on the hotline, and then they come to us, and we try and work it out. Our restraining order department does an amazing job of trying to at least start that conversation and plan and safety plan.
Psychologically speaking, does that have a real impact on the person? They've gone through that step, and now they feel like maybe there's some hope.
They do, and then it's just kind of us guiding and supporting them to get to their next step. Yeah, I mean, the restraining order, they feel immediate. It's like kind of like an immediate type of intervention because it makes them feel safe. Safe, and that paper is protecting them.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got a couple of things that we wanted to talk about today.
Sure.
We're coming up on National Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yes.
And that may be an indication of why this time of year, because it's the start into the holidays. The big one you've got coming up here, what is it, next week?
Yeah, next week Saturday at the Lahaina Cannery Mall, we are doing our 7th annual Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. And that's always a fun event. We have our West Maui Task Force that, really shows up. We show up in force. We got the police chief. We have our domestic violence unit that will be there as well. We have Lahaina football teams coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all the
cool.
kids. I know. They always get excited, and their coaches tell them, you can't wear the heels, but we will give you flats.
Oh.
And so they're, it's part of their sort of community service, and I think they enjoy it too. So
Yeah.
we have entertainment. This year we're going to have a bouncy castle.
What?
For the kids? I know. I was like, for the kids or for adults? I mean, we have Fred's Garage coming down and doing entertainment as well. So, and then we'll do our pledge, our men's pledge. So, and this is really our kickoff event for the entire month of October. And I'm excited this year because we actually beefed it up quite a bit. Last year, it was my first year trying to do it on my own, and it was really, I didn't know what to expect. And so this month, we're going full force. We have this group of Kamehameha School students that's going to be painting a mural in our office.
Oh, really?
Just to let you know, Susie.
Oh,
They
call
will
building
be-
management.
They will be painting one wall that holds, actually right now it's our wall of the No More campaign.
And where is that located? Right in the front
Yeah,
entry?
right in the lobby. So, I love that No More campaign. So they're going to include that and a lot of what our mission is in a beautiful mural. So I can't wait for them to put it together. We're doing more things like that. We're having sign wavings throughout the month of October, as well as silent vigil. And we're going to do 2 events, one on the island of Lanai and the other one in Hana. So we're going to pair those at the end of the month. And we're just going to engage the community as much as possible. That's my goal for this month, and it's an agency goal, and we just want to reach as many people as we can.
And that, I think, right there is the secret of what you're talking about here is awareness factor.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's the students coming in to paint the mural or the football team coming to walk a mile, it's kind of giving them the idea that there's an issue out there that they need to know more about
Right.
before they, get out of school. And I mean, they may be doing some of this already, but to let them know that there's somebody here to give them more information and let them know. We got to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out what they are doing to help their clients, in some cases, overcome what's going on in their lives, and sometimes it's just being able to live their lives.
Absolutely.
And we talked a little bit about the restraining orders. We talked about that a lot when you were in Brianna earlier.
Yeah.
I think that maybe let's talk a little bit more about the things that are going on during the month of October.
Right.
The awareness factor. I mean, we all talk about sign waving, and we all talk about getting out there in the community and giving talks to Rotary groups and exchange clubs, etc.
Yeah.
What's the best way for people to really hear about women helping women in your programs? What do you emphasize, or what do you try to get people to think about you?
Well, we definitely want them to know that, first things first, we want them to know that we have our 24-hour hotline, and that it can be completely anonymous. So, we want them to engage that, and if that's a first step in terms of even them finding out information.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have people that call that hotline and ask, well, my neighbor, I can hear them going through these things, what should I do? And so they'll call that, and the advocates will help walk them through that process and sort of explain, because a lot of them don't know what to do in those cases. And, when we have things like DV Awareness Month, we want people to come out, and we will be happy as advocates to talk to them more about domestic violence or more about their individual situations if there's something that they're going through. Particularly in the communities of Hana and Lanai, it's so tight knit, and even for us going to Hana from this side, from Wailuku, it's totally different. They'll treat us a little bit different, and we're not necessarily from there, although we live on the same island. And so for us, we've been told by our advocates out there that if we bring food to an event, and we don't necessarily call it an event, they will all show up. So, we're planning to do a huge Costco run and take it to these events out there in those rural areas, and just talk story. We're not pressuring anybody to come. We would love the entire community to come, because that's their community, and if they each have that knowledge, they can, help with the situations that are going out there. Yeah.
And since everybody's related to each other, that kind of adds another layer to the whole thing, doesn't it?
It adds a full stack of layers. It's not just one layer. There's like multiple layers with all these other layers on the side that are attached. So, it can be really complicated, particularly for some of our advocates that are working out there. And they don't work necessarily traditional office hours because they are mobile. They are on the road, going to homes and helping those people out there. And, they can, the confidentiality out there is slim, slim to none. And so, when we do these events out in those two communities, we'll be doing the Blanketed by Blame skit, which if any of you guys have never seen it, go on YouTube and just Google and just put that in the search box and it'll come up. And this is done, nationwide. And what it does is you have a survivor in the middle, a victim in the center, and you have this group that each holds a blanket. And as that person goes through the services, so say like one of those was the police department, and the survivor said, well, like the PD would say, like, well, why didn't you call us sooner? And then each time a blanket would be put on that person's shoulders. And so if you can imagine, you got like 15 blankets piled on one person, right? That's to simulate the blame that we necessarily put on victims.
Oh.
And then at the end of that, you do the reverse. So it's all supportive statements and removing a blanket each time. And so at the end, yes, we want to have a panel discussion or just an open discussion and questions, and let's talk about what that means for you and how that makes you feel, and what kind of things can we do different, and how can we support survivors in that way. So,
interesting.
Yeah. It hasn't been done through our agency for some time, for some years. And so, I thought this would be a good one to bring back for this year, because we've just seen those numbers, those changing numbers, the influx again. Since actually around March, the numbers have been steadily climbing. So we know people are needing services, and then they're accessing services. So that's a good thing. We want them to all come and get whatever services that we can give them and provide support.
So if your numbers are climbing as far as the people who are accessing services, as you said, does that mean for everyone who comes in, there's several others out there who aren't?
Probably, more than likely. I mean, that's statistically shown that where there's one, there's got to be a few others that haven't reported. Police department knows that as well. Everybody else knows that as well. That's not just here in Maui County. That's statewide. That's nationwide. And so, we're just hoping that we can reach as many as possible, and then they'll just continue to call in whatever capacity they want to, or show up, and seek services.
Interesting. Boy. Well, good luck with that one, because that... I mean, it's like you say, why didn't you call us sooner? Why didn't you ask for help? I mean, first of all, there's embarrassment.
Right.
This really isn't happening to me. I can't. And when you're out in a community like that where everybody's related to each other, it's even worse, because once word slips out somewhere, there it is.
And just things that we don't think about on this side, right? Like if my car is parked at this particular house where people know that that's our office, then, the word spreads like wildfire around there. Everybody will know. And then, they don't necessarily, they want to gossip. And it's human nature to gossip and to share information, whatever you want to call it. And it's hard. It's definitely a challenge, but we have to get creative as advocates, and as an agency, we try and get creative.
Right.
And I definitely appreciate every single advocate that we have, because not only are they doing this hard work, but at the end of the day, we actually have a very great sense of humor, most of us, I think. Like, we can pretty much laugh at ourselves and, enjoy the time that we have together and just value the work that we do.
Do you get together a lot to discuss how it could be done better, or
on occasion,
offer suggestions?
Yeah, so if we have a tough situation, we'll try and go through those individual needs and just kind of figure that out. I know for Bree, it's kind of bouncing ideas back and forth, and with even some of our shelter staff, it's trying to figure out what the best course of action, not just for that individual, but how perhaps we can do better in a similar situation. Every situation is going to be different.
I was going to say, even though the problem's the same,
Yeah.
how they get to it and how it is arrived at is
Yeah.
different.
Each
And-
person has their own story.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah.
I give you guys credit. I really do.
Well, we have a great sense of humor. We like to have fun and joke around a lot, so it's good.
Mm-hmm.
We
Well-
work hard and play very hard. Yes.
Yep. You have to.
You have to.
Right.
To
That
do
balance.
This work, you have to have that balance.
Yeah,
It does
keep
not work
that
without
balance.
it. Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing that mural.
I can't wait.
That's
I
gonna
can't
be
wait
cool.
for you to see it. Yeah. I'm not sure what it's gonna look like. I just told them let's keep it PG and try to include these small elements of our mission and all of that. So
Cool.
yeah, I'm sure they'll do fantastic.
I'm sure they will. I'm
Yeah.
sure they will. And have a lot of fun with the walk a mile in their shoes.
Thank you.
That gets bigger and bigger every year.
It does, and the guys come dressed. They dress up to the nines.
Oh, they
I-
dress to go with it. It's not the
Oh,
board
no,
shorts and heels.
They put the wigs on and they wear the long dresses. I'm like, whew. First of all, it's 2,000 degrees in Lahaina, and you want to come fully dressed in makeup and wigs and all these things. And hey, more power to you.
I think I saw some
Definitely.
fishnet in some of the pictures I've seen. Yeah.
Lots of fishnet, and then after a while, it tends to get ripped, and shoes get broken, and people are just kind of limping around, and we just kind of have to be, well, yay, keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great event. And do you get a lot of spectators?
We do.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in Lahaina. I mean, we get quite a bit of people stopping by and just sort of taking pictures and then asking questions. And that's what we want. We want them to ask
Yeah.
questions. What is this about? How can I contribute? And, the monies that we raise from that help with our shelter. So it helps defray some of the costs that we have of operating that and everything. So, yeah,
Cool.
it works.
Last thoughts.
Call our hotline, please.
There
And
you go.
that is-
Hotline number is.
It's
579?
579-9581.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
Rain or shine, just like the post office.
Even if it's just to talk.
Even more than the post office, they weren't delivering mail a couple times
Oh, yeah.
here.
I know.
So this is guaranteed here. 579-9581. Call.
Thank you.
Whether it's the first time or the second time or the fifth time, if violence is happening, call for help.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, Sonoy. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
And are you going to be out there walking a mile?
You're
You're going to be watching them.
Probably not. I won't be walking a mile, but I will definitely cheerlead from the sidelines.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got you. Very good. Okay. Thanks for joining us. And everyone, remember, women helping women. And until every home is safe, they will be on call. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks.
Great. We're going to shift gears and talk about an event that's coming up here really quickly. Anybody here play Jeopardy? I do.
Not so well.
What was it last year?
Ohana Feud.
Ohana.
Feud.
Based on Family Feud.
Oh, Ohana Feud.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. How'd that go over?
It was a great success. Everyone really had a lot of fun.
I'll bet that's more fun than Celebrity Feud.
I think so. We laughed a lot.
Well, we've got with us some folks from the
Maui Disability Alliance.
There we go. Thank you. And I've got Debbie Wonderscheid, Director of Marketing and Job Development for Kalima, Maui. I'm going to
Hello.
let you introduce our guests that
Oh.
came with you today.
Oh, of course. I have Ellen, who's part of the Wheelers group, and I have Jeanette, who is part of the Hawaii Disability Rights.
Yes.
The actual organization.
Yes, Hawaii Disability Rights Center.
Oh, the Rights Center. Oh, okay. And is that located here on Maui?
I am,
Okay.
but the main office is in Honolulu.
Okay. And what does the Maui Disability Rights Center do?
We are the advocacy and, we're the advocacy group in Hawaii for people with disabilities. So we are, the Protection and Advocacy group is responsible for letting people with disabilities know that there are agencies and advocates available for anyone with a disability, intellectual or developmental, who might have a problem with getting any sort of resource to which they are entitled, such as educational, employment, voting, problem in accessing Social Security benefits, dealing with guardianships, employment.
You cover it all.
Yeah.
And any issues they have that they can't get services
Access to
or
transportation services. Basically, what I do is try to inform people of their rights. And when there's a problem, I will try to do the best that I can to communicate and see if it's actionable. The cases are all sent out and approved through our Honolulu office.
I see.
And so I work part-time out of my home in Kula.
Oh, okay. So you gather all the information, put the case together to see if there's something somebody can do to help
Right.
them.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's misunderstandings. Sometimes it's just a lack of information. But that's what our annual legislative forum is all about. And this is our 22nd one. And Ellen is the chairperson and is the brains behind our game. And I think it's best if she tells everybody what's going to happen next week.
Sounds exciting, Ellen. Tell us about it.
Well, Ohana Feud was such a success last year. We thought, okay, well, let's keep going with the game show kind of format. And we thought last year we had a lot of community members and council members and as contestants on the game show. And we thought, well, this year is an election year, so I think it's pretty obvious who wants to be the contestants this year. So we thought, let's do Jeopardy, and we'll have the candidates as the contestants. So it's Candidate Jeopardy.
Okay. So now, let's see. If I remember correctly, Jeopardy works when there's a statement made and they have to ask the question
Yes.
that statement answers.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Ah,
This is one way to find out what they know.
exactly. We want to quiz and see how the candidates know their scope of knowledge about disability and that kind of thing. Now, we give them, for the candidates that RSVP ahead of time, say they're coming, they get a fact sheet, which is about four, maybe 5 pages long, with all the facts that basically all the answers to the questions that are going to be asked. But they're not all. The candidates will be broken down into groups, smaller groups. So not everybody's going to need to know everything, but you don't know what you need to know. So you should, and they can bring the fact sheet with them. But, you don't want to be on there looking down at your
Looking at
sheet the
papers.
whole time. You're not going to, somebody's going to buzz in ahead of you. All you have to
Right.
do is have at least a glancing knowledge of what's on the paper.
Right. Can you give us an example?
I think there's,
Well, the subject areas are going to be on transportation, housing, employment, wellness, and just a hodgepodge.
I
But
see.
I think the example question we sent out to the candidates was, this entity hosts an annual legislative forum covering issues that are pertinent to the Maui community with disabilities.
What is Maui Disability Alliance?
You won!
Does that mean I can get elected?
You get so many points. And you can choose the next question, like transportation for 400.
Oh my goodness, I see. Okay, you're gonna have the board and everything.
We do, we do.
Cool.
Yes.
That's neat.
Yeah, and we want to make it fun.
Yeah.
We want to make it educational. We want to give people a chance to meet the candidates and for the candidates to have a chance for people in the audience to get to know them. And it's just a lot more fun and to do that in a little more interactive way than to just have everybody stand up and say, vote for me because I live here and I want to be on the council.
Gotcha, yeah.
Which we all basically know that.
Right.
And everybody usually says the same thing.
Right.
And we want to see them in action.
Gotcha.
And
Thinking on their feet.
a little bit.
Kind of
we
thing.
don't want to scare people away.
Right.
As Ellen said, we're making it as easy as possible. And I think last year, if people came and they were a little nervous with the Family Feud game, that with Candidate Feud, or we called it Ohana Feud, we made commercials, which were commercials, but we gave the answers to all the
Gotcha.
questions in our little filmed vignettes about our different agencies.
Gotcha. Well, let me just say this to all the candidates out there who've been thinking about whether they should come to this or not. I got the first question right. So if I can do it, you can do it. Get out there and show your stuff. We've got to take a short commercial. We'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out what's happening in their world. And for this half of the show, we are talking with the folks from Maui Disability Alliance, who are presenting the 22nd Annual Legislative Forum. And the theme for the night is Candidate Jeopardy. You know, when I first heard that, I was thinking something else.
You thought we were going to put them in jeopardy?
I wasn't sure. Yeah, and then I remembered last year it was a fun game, and so then I saw your information sheet, but it's just, you're right. I mean, I think we learn so much more when it's fun than having 2 or 3 speakers come up and for 5 minutes each, go on and on about this or that. Because with this, I'm feeling that you're going to get snippets of information. And that's what you want. You want to pique somebody's curiosity about something that's said that night.
Exactly.
It's basically like people need to have a basic understanding of disability, and a lot of people don't. So in order to get everyone up to that basic level, you need to make the information that you're giving out fun and entertaining. So unfortunately, we have to make this interesting, and this is how we came up with it. If everyone knew it, if everyone knew the information, they'd be bored and they'd be like, "Oh, you're telling us this again," and we don't. It's always new, and there's always things that change a little bit too. So it couldn't even be the same thing because attitudes and things and norms shift over time. So what was correct 10 years ago wouldn't be correct now.
Right.
So there'd always be updating of information anyway.
Are we making progress with our working with disabilities and people with disabilities?
I think we are. I mean, I think Debbie can speak to some of that because she works a lot with employment issues. And I think that there's movement in the right direction.
I think so. There's the study I just read, 92% of all businesses were happy about hiring persons with disabilities. They were receiving good feedback from them, and we do have a lot more awareness out in the community. So I think it's been really good. There's just more education. The reason we're having this the time of year we do is it's National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It's a annual event that just brings awareness to the community, and this month it's America's Workforce Empowering All, which is huge. I mean, it's changed so much over the years, and that's why we have it in the fall, one of the reasons. And we have a mayor proclamation that probably will be read if the mayor won't be there, recognizing that.
He's scheduled to appear.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yes,
I
he
wasn't
said
sure.
he was coming,
Right.
and we hope to see him. And
Did I just reading through some of the materials? I don't know whether it was Kalima's website or Maui Disabilities, but there was somebody who was saluted for having worked on the same job for, was it 30 years or something?
That's right.
And it was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, 30
was
years
with
ago, that was a
Aloha
challenge.
Independent Living, I think, it's newsletter, and that's amazing. And people love working, not just because they like the money, but because
Right.
it's a chance to do something that they like to do.
Right.
And I think that's something that every human being wants.
Right.
It does. It
That's a
creates
human need.
confidence. We also have several employees. In fact, Kalima was initially, the idea for our grounds and janitorial was for a stepping stone to get in, get the experience, learn how, resume, information, and then move on. But we have some that have been working 30, 40, 45 years.
Oh, really?
And they love it there, and they just don't, they feel the sense of accomplishment. They like earning the paycheck. They feel like a family with us, so they stay. So, and I think that's they all have a good sense of, feeling proud of themselves for working hard.
And they're good workers.
Right, they are. They
I
are
mean, if
really
they
good
weren't, they
workers.
wouldn't last 40
right,
years.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. And again, I go back to the idea that 30 or 40 years ago, that was quite a challenge for someone to hire a person with disabilities, because that was kind of unheard of. Nobody really knew what the person could do.
Right.
And there are several employers on Maui who do regularly hire people with disabilities. I think I go into Foodland and I see people there often,
Yeah,
and we have lots of other. There are too many to name, but
Right,
we
there
are
are.
very. I think
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
it
it
is.
is. We have some great partnerships with Safeway and TJ Maxx and Home Depot, and a lot of them on the island are embracing, and it's great. But it's not just employment that we're talking about. There's several areas: transportation, visitability, being able to get places is a real concern on Maui. That we have are people that are in the wheelchairs that can't go down the street because there's broken. And Ellen, you can talk to that more, but.
Yes, and technically it would be people who use wheelchairs.
Yes.
Because
Sorry.
ideally you'd say you'd put the person first. So I use a wheelchair. It's not I'm in a wheelchair, because then the wheelchair is first and I'm
Right.
just in it.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, but that's. I don't mean to be picky. I just
No,
thought
no,
that
No,
was
that's
that's
true.
true.
good
Tell us.
Yeah, that's true.
bring that up. So yeah.
And one of the things we want to encourage is that this is a forum for the candidates to learn about the issues that are important to people with disabilities, and for people with disabilities to talk to the candidates, and for the candidates to hear from us.
Right.
And for it to it's going to be a conversation.
Right.
And after the game, there will be time for the candidates individually to talk story with the people there. But it's a two-way street. We all know that the people in government have a lot of other issues. And sometimes if you don't speak up, your issue gets put to
Right.
the bottom of the stack.
Right.
And it takes an awful lot of campaigning and lobbying to bring your issue to the front. And we want to keep reminding people that these issues are important. And the fact that some employers have people working and visible is very important. And I think the more that people see people able-bodied or people without disabilities see people with disabilities doing the same thing and interacting
Right.
is good for everybody.
Right. And that's what you get in some of the stores that you're talking about.
Exactly.
I think I've read some stories in probably your newsletter
right.
about different people who started out back in the back room or in the storage room or supply room. Now they're out front like a sales clerk.
Right.
Exactly.
Uh,
As a sales clerk,
yes,
not
As a
just
sales
like
clerk.
a
Yeah, I'm
sales
sorry.
clerk.
Yeah,
No,
there you
I
go.
didn't
Good
mean
point.
to-
That's a good point. Very good.
So
Thank
much
you.
like it they are.
Right. They've gone from being a supply person to a salesperson.
Right.
Yeah, and a greeter. It's just the world is opening up, I think, finally to folks with disabilities. The opportunities are there if they want to take advantage of them. And then, of course, the things that we talked about here with the transportation becomes an issue because how do you get to work?
Correct.
There's not always somebody who can take you, so there needs to be some form of public transportation that isn't really totally expensive and out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah,
Right.
well, MEO does a good job being the vendor that supplies paratransit to Maui County, and they do a great job with that. I mean, as not perfect, it's not without its bumps, and but everybody really pulls together, and the drivers are great, and everybody works as hard as they can to get you to where you're going on time.
Right, and I second that. The drivers are fabulous, and they've got that special caring attitude for folks with
Yes.
disabilities, for seniors,
Yeah,
anybody that they transport.
definitely.
Yeah. So if there's one thing that you would like for the candidates to know more about, what would that be? I'm putting you on the spot.
I think just that people with disabilities are just people
Right.
like you and I.
People first.
Yeah, so it's just about normalizing everybody so that there's not a difference. It's not like a big scary thing that you have to deal with somebody who's a little bit different than you. It's just kind of giving you, oh, okay, they're in a wheelchair or they have an intellectual disability. Disability, sorry, my voice drops. Goes away. So, yeah, that everyone's they're just there to live their lives and do their jobs and everything like everybody else.
Right. And should be given the same chance as everybody else.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. I think that's, again, going back years, it's been a hard transition, I would think. And those of you who've been working in it, you see the progress. Maybe it's slower than you would hope, but there is progress.
It is slow, and some of the progress is being chipped at right now.
Uh-oh.
So that's a reason to remind people to vote, and that it still needs some support because some of the programs in the schools aren't getting the funding, and it is a civil right, and in the Department of they are enforced by the Department of Justice. The current administration in Washington is not enforcing it, and this current administration in the Department of Education nationally is not enforcing it, and money for people with disabilities is being cut. So it's not always a straight line.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's still a lot of room on Maui and in Hawaii about movement. Nationally, what I read in the United States, about 35% of people with disabilities who want to work are employed, but I think it's a much, much smaller number in the islands.
Oh,
I think
really?
it's 19%
Yes,
that are employed.
19% of those who want to work
Right.
are employed.
Right.
That's unreal. That's terribly
less
low.
than half of
Yeah. Is that, I mean, because there's resistance out there? Is that, or do they just don't know where to go or how to prepare?
Probably a little of all. And that we are the lowest statistically wise. We're last. So there's another answer for
if you're listening.
What are we last to? Don't ask it that way. There's a lot of things we're last at.
We're last in voting too.
Yes, that's right.
And one of the things I want to point out that will be available on next Thursday is we will have voter registration.
Very good.
And learning from Women Helping Women, we also are going to have a light dinner, and we will have refreshments. There's no
Food.
charge.
There you go. No charge food. And should be some good fun, but there should
will
be
be.
some education going on.
And we'll have flyers from most of the agencies there, so there'll be a lot of resources for all of the people that attend.
That's great.
And we'd love to see anyone there.
Yes,
There you go.
any and every.
Everyone.
Able-bodied, people with disabilities, families.
Let's fill up the Velma McWayne Santos Community
Yes.
Center on Thursday, September 27th.
A week
right?
from tomorrow, from
Week
5
tomorrow,
to 7.
5 to 7. Fabulous. Last thoughts. We're just about out of time. No?
If you have any questions or just want to come by and sample some poo-poos, come and see your candidates in person.
Okay.
I thought of one really quick. We
Okay.
do have our own website, and we do have a Facebook that's up and running slowly.
Slowly.
Maui
Okay.
Disability.
Yeah, Maui Disability Alliance.
And I went to that and I saw those pictures, which were pretty cool with statements under them. Yeah, that's great. Thank you all very much. We appreciate your being here and have fun with Jeopardy.
Thank you.
Okay.
And hope to see you there.
Yeah.
Hey, I keep trying to get to these things, but I don't know. I'm kind of like the Women Helping Women people. I just can't seem to get out of the office. Anyway, so Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Base Yard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's purpose is to provide an opportunity for nonprofit agency directors to gain personal and professional support through cooperative development activities. Maui Nonprofit Directors also provides opportunities for networking to affect significant positive change in our community. Please visit our website at mauinonprofit.org for a list of all the member agencies. Today we visited with Women Helping Women and with the Maui Disability Alliance folks and talked about their events that they've got coming up. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. Don't forget to join us again next week right here, same time, same place. KAOI Radio, 98.7 FM and 1110 AM. We will feature 2 more representatives of agencies when we get together next week. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.